I think what it has done is given a peg to Putin to go back to a topic he's been on for a long time. It's been on his agenda a long time, and this has been a peg to really say, okay, well, you have been placing intermediate and short-range missiles into Europe. Yes, the INF treaty is out of, if you like, it's no longer valid at the moment, but we have been unofficially observing it and keeping to it. But now we're dropping that. We are going to actually have to respond to this by our own positioning of short and intermediate range missiles. And at the same time, no coincidence, I suspect, he mentioned the Oreshnik missile, not nuclear, but a hypersonic missile that can reach anywhere in Europe, is now in serial production and is in the hands of the Russian army and therefore is available. And the great thing, if you like, is that it is much more effective than a nuclear weapon because of its accuracy. That's the game changer, is its accuracy. It can really pinpoint. It can pinpoint, MI6 headquarters or the Mossad headquarters and strike it precisely without collateral damage around it and destroy it utterly. So, and as I say, it's not nuclear and it can have multiple warheads. And now that's in serial production, mass production. And so they're changing it. And what Russians seem to be doing, two things. They've said, first of all, we need to be aware that in the Pacific and that area, Russia is also vulnerable too. But there we have our ally, North Korea. But in Europe, we are going to create a new security architecture. And, this is not something that is sort of a threat or a counter threat. It is a new architecture because this is what Russia has said from the outset. Putin made this clear in the speech on the 14th of June. What is necessary, the root cause of the problem in Ukraine is, if you like, the lack of a security architecture which safeguards Russia and Russian interests. And we need to get round to the architecture. Well, the West is just ignoring the treaty and going on its own way. So Russia has decided that it's going to do its own architecture. Now, will this prompt the West to do something that it sorely needs to do, which is to reinstate or renegotiate an intermediate and short-range nuclear missile treaty, or not? At the moment, there seems no interest in this at all. After what happened, after Trump's and Kellogg's rather silly statements about sort of putting all their subs out on the surface and sailing them around Russia, it followed, of course, as you rightly said, the spider's web attacks on their strategic nuclear capabilities, their key strategic nuclear capacities. This was if you like, the attack done from drones and insertions, pre-positioned weapons that attacked their strategic bomber. Of course, Russia will be looking very closely and saying, well, why were they doing that? Is there an attack intended? Is this what they are planning, to attack our strategic weapons? If so, are they planning some first strike capacity? You have to think about these things if you're president of Russia or any big state. So they undoubtedly are doing that. And then they've thought about it because, too, the second thing that has affected the Russian thinking about this, and it really shocked them what happened at those spiders' webs attack, because these were sort of inserted in advance and launched remotely at their nuclear bomber fleet, and they realized that they're very open to this, but more so because we've had this succession, a decapitation strike against Hezbollah, an attempted decapitation strike against the Houthis in the Yemen, and then an actual decapitation strike in Iran against the line commanders of Iran and their nuclear scientists. So this means that Russia has got to think very carefully about what is this new form of warfare that the United States is preparing and thinking about. So you have to put that as a context and then understand what is happening. Clearly, Russia is looking to see if there's any change in the alert status of Western forces after that statement, however silly they thought it to be by Trump, that they would be looking to see, is there a change in status? Are the West mobilizing? Is the West mobilizing in some way, preparing for action? And if they don't see that, then they will take it easy. But as I'm saying, I don't think that this INF proposal was directly connected with this statements about the submarines. It was something Putin has had up his sleeve for some time. I've actually, heard it for a long time. He's wanted to get back because the intermediate missiles that the West has been putting, and they are planning to put them into Germany next. I mean, this is, threatening existentially Russia. It can't just ignore it and just go on, observing treaties that are no longer in existence and pretending to be content about it. It has to react, and that's what it's doing. But it's not, if you like, a threatening act. This is a defensive act, essentially a new security architecture to make Russia safer.
The Russian Foreign Ministry was the one who came out with this statement, and they had a litany of examples, Germany being one of those. But you also mentioned the Asia Pacific too, and there was cited examples, for example, the Philippines. Could you talk about this and how it might influence the Russia-US posture now? How much do these nuclear questions factor into the relations between both sides amid this existential conflict for Russia in Ukraine?
Well, it means that I think that, the position of North Korea becomes crucial because then Russia can, if you like, base missiles in North Korea, its ally there, that both cover the Asia-Pacific region and even can stretch to the United States, even intermediate missiles, not the missiles covered, if you like, by the START treaties. So it's a really important change in architecture, and it's a change to a global position that Russia is taking on this issue.